Saving Our Sisters was recently able to help a mom in Alabama revoke her consent to an adoption, keep her baby, and they are together, they are doing fine, and she does have a social support system in place. There are a few issues with her case that I want to talk about on TikTok because it would be very important to other expectant parents who may be considering placing their babies for adoption. In the state of Alabama, and this is, there aren't many states, but it is becoming more common for laws like this to be passed. Off the bat, I can think of Tennessee passed this law last year, allowing for pre-birth consent. That means while you are still pregnant, you can consent to the adoption of your baby. In Alabama, it is 5 days after birth is the window with which you would be able to revoke that consent. To go to the beginning of this mom's story, and I will end with how she ended up revoking her consent to the adoption. So this mom ends up Googling and finds a sponsored ad from an unlicensed intermediary who she is under the impression she believes to be a licensed adoption agency. I'm not going to disclose exactly who this entity was, but they are one of the 31 unlicensed intermediaries who recently got a warning letter from the FTC. So yes, they are one of these 31 intermediaries. They are not located in the state of Alabama. It is illegal to facilitate an adoption in the state of Alabama when unlicensed. Who she thought was a licensed adoption agency ended up matching her with prospective adoptive parents who they have a contract with. And they pass her, once they are matched, they are passed along to an attorney in Alabama. This attorney knows where they got the match from and that this was illegally matched. But this attorney takes this match. One of this attorney's friends, where there are pictures of them on Facebook hanging out in social settings outside of work, this attorney hires her friend attorney to be the representation of this expectant mom. This expectant mom believes that she is working with ethical people because now she has her own representation that she's not paying for, the prospective adoptive parents are paying for. This attorney has about a 15-minute phone call with her, not much of anything, and she never hears from this attorney again. She has her baby. She has already signed a week prior consent to the adoption. She and her baby are in the hospital for 2 days. She is wanting to revoke her consent to the adoption, but no one will tell her how. Attorneys were not hired to walk her through the revocation process. Thank you to all of those out there in support groups. This mom was able to connect with Saving Our Sisters. We were able to walk her through the revocation process. And this is how predatory. Now, most states don't even have revocation at all. In the state of Alabama, you do have 5 days and you have to physically go to the courthouse. So she has her baby and now she has 5 days to revoke her consent physically at a courthouse. Fortunately, in this situation, there were no complications that required her nor her child to have to stay in the hospital for a few days. So she and her baby were both in the hospital for 2 days. On the 3rd day, she had to take her baby to the pediatrician, but she was able to get to the courthouse to revoke her consent within the 5 days. If you are an expectant parent who is considering adoption for your baby, there are so many things to be wary of and to be warned about. This is often a very predatory system, but please do not consent to the adoption of your baby while you are still pregnant. You may come to regret that decision, and it's going to make it much harder on yourself to revoke that consent to the adoption. As always, be careful out there.